out from the work that I've done with both children and adults that I feel are really important when we think about healing from our own trauma, whether or supporting somebody to heal from trauma. So one of the first things which I mentioned yesterday as well is safety. So if you're in, and it's so essential in order to heal trauma that you feel safe, because your experiences, whether it's been a one-off event that has created some post-traumatic stress, whether it is lots of ongoing traumas that occurred during your life, or whether it's a combination of those things, feeling safe within your body and feeling safe within yourself is essential to moving forward. If you are in an environment where you feel unsafe, then it is extremely difficult to heal your trauma. So if you are, for example, in an abusive relationship, or you are in a relationship where you're with a partner who's extremely narcissistic, for example, those things are not going to allow you to heal your trauma, because you're just going to be continually triggered by that experience. So a safe environment is so key to healing trauma. And that's also sometimes, like, you know, why you have to create space from your parents. Like, everybody, I think a lot of people go through that, don't they, where they need that distance from their parents, as much as you love them, to create some space in order to heal, in order to connect with yourself, and to find safety in your own way. And then the other thing is having safe connections with others. So in order to feel safe within yourself and to heal from trauma, it's so important to have those safe relationships. So it's like the children that that I've worked with, that one of the key things that we say is, when a child is going through a traumatic experience, is that they need a trusted key adult. They need an adult to be guiding them, nurturing them, and showing them boundaries, forgiving them as well, showing them that that they love them, but that they're boundaried with what is safe in their behavior and what maybe isn't so safe. So and then when you're able to do those things, you then find safety in yourself. So the way that I can also relate this is with clients that I work with. So when there's that safe relationship with a client, I'm supporting them to feel safe with me, so that they can learn to feel safe within themselves. And when they learn to feel safe with me, with their thoughts, with their presence, they can then explore that. They can explore things within that safe space. And when you can explore things with somebody else in a safe way, you're then able to accept those parts of you that might have been causing you some shame. So what I've just put on each slide some questions that you could be asking yourself. So you might want to have just a minute to have a look at these now and just jot some thoughts down, but take them away with you and have a think about these questions. So who do you feel safe with? And also maybe have a think about, like, when you think about who do you feel safe with, what is it about those relationships that enable you to feel safe? What is it about those people that allow you to feel safe? The other question is, where do you feel safe? So are there particular parts of your home where you feel really safe, where you feel really nurtured, where you feel really comfortable? are there areas nearby where you feel the same way, or are there particular friends that you go and see where you feel particularly safe? And also, what objects or things allow you to feel safe? So, or routines or activities that allow you to feel safe. And I was going to talk a little bit about the inner child. So we mentioned inner child yesterday. Your inner child is the part of you which we all have an inner child, and our inner child is often communicating what it is that we need. So all behavior that we express is communicating something. So when we get into that response of defensiveness, of wanting to fight with somebody, of wanting to run away, of wanting to hide, all of those responses are coming from an inner child place of needing to feel safe, of needing to feel heard, of needing to feel validated, of needing to feel wanted, of needing to feel like their authentic self is being seen. Whatever it is, it's really important to ask yourself that question about what is it that your inner child needs. And we look at this a bit more on the Illumination Project as well, so we explore that within there. Okay. So the other thing that is also important is bringing things back to your body. So rhythmic movement is supposed to be really valuable in terms of resetting or allowing that safety within your body. So things like walking, it's a repetitive movement on your left and right side. So you're activating the left and right side of your brain. And then things like yoga, singing, drumming, dance, chanting, all of those things. And I've put as well, like, you know, I was reading some research about how hip hop, because it's so rhythmical, that it's actually really soothing and it regulates your nervous system, and skateboarding as well, and meditative breathing. So it's a little bit like when you think of a baby. So it's kind of starting with the basics of your body and connecting with your body to regulate it. So it's a little bit like when you hold a baby. So if you hold a baby and your natural response is to rock the baby to when they're tired to sleep. So that rocking motion of like moving side to side, a little bit like what you're doing when you're walking, or that meditative breathing or singing, it's actually really calming and it's soothing, and it has a calming effect on your nervous system. And that's the impact of it. So it sounds like it's such a simple thing, but the impact of it is that it's regulating the nervous system, and it's also regulating the brain stem. So that's like the most primitive part of your brain. And the brain stem is the area of your brain that gets most affected, because that's the part that is accessed quicker by trauma. So what can happen is that the higher parts of your brain aren't brought in. So you can be constantly responding from your brain stem, which is the lower part of your brain. So that part can really freeze from traumatic experiences. And that's why doing that repetitive movement can be really helpful. So some other questions, just a question to ask yourself is, how can you introduce some of that rhythmical movement into your day? Okay. Has anybody got any questions? If you have, just stick it in the chat. Okay, so the other thing, the number 3 is repetition and routine. So we need patterned, repetitive input to reach the poorly organized neural networks involved in the stress response. So when if you've experienced repetitive trauma, then your brain is going to basically wire itself in a certain way. And when you provide yourself with consistent, repetitive responses and routines, that's going to allow you to reform those networks and organize things so that they're not all over the place, basically, if we put it into simple terms. And yeah, it allows you to also feel safe. So the routines and routines definitely allow you to feel safe, don't they? And the more you do something again and again and again, the more it activates your nervous system, but also it stores in your longer term memory, doesn't it? So if you're getting up every day and you are calming your nervous system down, your body is going to remember that. If you're waking up every day and you are scripting out how you want your day to be, what beliefs you want to have about yourself, what experiences you want to have throughout the day, then those things are going to repetitively form in your mind, as opposed to waking up in the morning and entering cycles of thoughts that maybe don't serve you in a helpful way. Okay, so the next one is joy, and this is the fun one. So I've just put here, joy is like the sun that eats away grey clouds and opens up the sky. So everything that it touches brightens up and fills with the energy of growth. So joy is so important because it minimizes our stress. It minimizes the stress of those fight, flight, freeze responses. And it helps you to heal and to thrive. So it's thinking about, what brings you joy, not what you should be doing, like what really brings you joy and what fills you up. And it can be the simplest of things. And joy, you can find joy in just sitting on your front doorstep, enjoying the sunshine, or making a cup of tea, or whatever it is. But also, just play around with your day so that you actually bring in more joy. At the moment, I feel like we're struggling with that a little bit because because of the lockdown. It's feeling a little bit like the joy part. We have to be a bit more creative about that bit. But what happens when you sort of add in those activities that really bring you joy is that you expand that flow of positivity and you minimize those reactive patterns. So again, it sounds simple, like have fun, but the impact of the fun part has such a strong role in the longer term healing of your nervous system, of your body, your mind, and your soul. Yeah, I'm just going to cover, let's see what time it is. So it's 4:30 now. I can cover these last two. Do you want half an hour, Lance?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you can go ahead and finish.
Okay, I've only got a couple more slides. So the next thing is about language. So one of the magic of language, the magic of speaking, so when we keep trauma silent, it keeps us in isolation. So the silence part is like the death of our soul, because we are suffering by ourselves. And it creates those feelings of isolation, that nobody understands, that you're alone, that you're going mad, that you're feeling all this shame, that you're a bad person, that you're wrong. when you speak to the right people, and this I feel is so important, when you speak to the right people that you feel safe with, that that instantly takes away the power of your trauma. So there is something really important, I feel, from your trauma being acknowledged and validated as a real experience, because otherwise what happens is that you've opened up to somebody, and if they have invalidated that experience, it puts you back into a place that of my feelings are not valid, my experiences didn't happen, or they shouldn't have impacted me in this way. So you're then in that state of denial. You're in that state of denying the part of you that so needs to be heard, that so needs that validation and that connection and that feeling of belonging. So it's really, really important. So, you know, it's about making sure that you open up to people that you feel safe with. And when you feel listened to and understood, that changes your, you know, it impacts on your physiology. And there's also something, yeah, there's something about you labeling your trauma. So that is where that healing begins, because you're identifying it. You are saying, this thing happened to me. This thing has impacted on me. And that part is so powerful, because you saying it, you're acknowledging it. You are creating the reality of the experience through your words. So have a think about whether you're working with clients or whether you are thinking about this for yourself or both. Who do you feel safe opening up to? Who do you feel safe talking to, and why? And what is it about that person that helps you to feel safe sharing your thoughts? And then the final thing is, this relates to joy, is finding your purpose. So living your purpose is embodying and expressing your specific emotions, your goals, your behaviors, and lifestyle that light you up. So it's not getting caught, it's moving forward, isn't it, from that space of being stuck in thoughts and beliefs and stories and behaviors that you don't feel serve you, and shifting to which beliefs, stories and thoughts do serve you. So how do you choose? How do you choose to live your life? How do you choose to what do you choose to believe about yourself? What stories do you tell yourself on a daily basis that are the truth about yourself, that you want to believe? Because the more you tell yourself the stories that you want to believe, the more they're going to manifest in your thoughts and then your reality.